Hello, today we're going to look at a quick tour of AspCoreGen 1.0. AspCoreGen 1.0 generates an ASP.NET web application using the ASP.NET Core 1.1 framework. So let's go on ahead. I'm going to open up ASP.NET Core Gen. Here we have um, six tabs: selected table tabs, selected views, database settings, code settings, UI settings, app settings. For most part, we're just going to be using the database settings and the code settings tabs. So what ASP Core Gen does is look at the MS SQL Server database that you have and generate code based off of the tables or views in your SQL Server. So I'm going to open up the SQL Server right now. Right now we're going to generate code based off of the Northwind database, which is highlighted right now, and on all these tables from categories to territories. I'm going to go ahead and close that again. Go back to ASP Core Gen. ASP Core Gen database settings, all you have to do is enter in the database connection. This would be your connection string to your database. So your database name is Northwind. The username that has admin rights to the database, I'm gonna go ahead and check show password so that the next time we open up ASP Core Gen, it'll remember all these things that we're typing in. What's new in ASP Core Gen is the way to generate database scripts. Now we're introducing the linq-to-entities, which is highlighted right now, using the entity framework Core. Before, we're used to generating either stored procedures or ad hoc dynamic SQL. The only difference now is using the ASP.NET Core framework, using these stored procedures and ad hoc dynamic SQL. So now you could use either one of these three. The stored procedure uses the classic ADO.NET, as well as the ad hoc dynamic SQL. We're gonna stay with the entity framework Core. Then we move on to the code settings. This is just like what it says, the code settings. We're gonna generate code for all the tables in our database, like shown right here, from categories all the way to territories. Then we're gonna name our web application. ASP Core Gen generates 3 projects: the main web application, the business layer and data layer API, which is a class library project, and the web API. It's optional, you can check it or not. So let's go ahead and name our web application. You can name it whatever. So you can see while I was typing that, the name is being typed over for the class library project and the web API. You can change them if you want, but those are common. We're going to tell it where to save our application. So I'm going to tell it to go to the Visual Studio 2017 projects, and we will not generate web API. For the UI settings, we'll just keep this all. So I'm telling this application to generate all these views. App settings we'll just keep that as is. Or we can just click generate code for all tables. This should take less than a minute. So nice, telling us that it generated the code on this directory. Click OK and open up that directory. We'll see a folder there and two projects separated by a folder in the solution file. We're going to double click the solution file. It'll open up the projects or the application in Visual Studio 2017. You will need Visual Studio 2017 on this. This will not work on Visual Studio 2015 and older. As you can see here, there are two projects, the main web application and the class library, both made in ASP.NET Core Framework 1.1. I'm just going to go ahead and click run, or you can press F5. On the first run, it'll build the project, and that was the old session there. Go ahead, close that. So what it will do is it will open up the home page. The home page just lists all the main objects that the software generated. So I can click the blue bar there to show and hide the list of things that was generated. So the black bars tells us that this is a project, and below the projects, these are the main things that were generated. So yeah, you just click controllers and it'll show you that you will have a base controller and controller class generated. The views, these are all the views that were generated. Again, if I go back here, look at the UI settings, these are all the views that were generated per table. So I'm gonna go back on the web page. Because these are views, we made it even simpler so that you can click on the view itself. On the class library, you have business objects and middle tier objects are generated. You have the day layer objects. They're all classes. The view models. So you'll see each one of these classes have a base class and the main parent class. The models, again, you will have the base model, and then you have the parent class, and the EF, the entity framework, list of entities there. So we're gonna go back on the views, and you can click one of these. So we're gonna click this view right there. It says there, this view, what it does is it has a list of the products, and it just grabs, I'm guessing, 10 at a time. You go through, skip 10 at a time. You can add a new product, moves on to the new view. You can add, it's got validation. So I guess that doesn't work. Just do one. All foreign keys are put in a drop down list. Oh, and product test. You can see the new product was added here. You could update that too. Update, and of course you could delete. You can delete that. Going back to our home page again, what we saw there was the add new record and update record, and you also have one that has a list which is read only, so you can't really add or update or delete anything here. Just go through it. The foreign keys are clickable, so you could go to the details on them. You also have a page, a view, where you could add and edit on the same page, so it doesn't redirect to another page. So I can say add, and something will pop up there, or update, and of course you can delete. You also have groupings. These are for tables that have foreign keys. So you can look at the products table. Go to the products table here. You'll see that it's got two foreign keys, a supplier and a category. So that's why on the products you'll have a list of group by supplier or categories. And of course you can sort them. Each one of these lists are sortable. Just click the header. You can also just get 5 at a time. So this will just get 5 fields or 20 fields at a time. You can move on to the last field. You also have lists with totals. These are for tables that has I believe money fields. So if you go to the products table, you'll see that there's money there. To open this up again, here the products is listed, unit price is added and summarized there in the bottom. You'll have totals, and you also have one that is grouped with totals. So this is products by category. You'll see the total per category here. And one of the cool features is it also generates a list that is searchable. So let's say I could just say CHA, and let's just do AA. False. Let's try AE. EE. Okay, and maybe just false. Anything that has 12. Okay, there you go. You also have a list that has scrollable data. So as I click this, it'll only retrieve the ones on screen as I scroll down, so that it doesn't have the next and the back and the last and the first. So it's scrollable. You also have a list where you can just add inline or update inline. So I could just say new product discontinued, and just add that. If you look at the very end, it's been added. It's right there. I wanna update this and just say that, and it's not discontinued anymore. It's updated. Alright, you just delete it. And you have a generated view that uses a manual for each. For all the views that we saw, it's using the JQ Grid plugin. For this one, we manually built the list here, or the grid, using the for each loop, our own logic right there. You also have a master detail grid. So it's a parent and child relationship. So at the products, again, you have two foreign keys, one supplier, one category. You just say the category, show me all the categories. The beverages, show me all the condiments, confections. So 2 pages. You also have the subgrid, the grid inside the grid. So let's look at the category again. So as I click that, you can see that I can go from category to category there. So there's a grid inside another grid. And of course, the unbound views. These are views not bound to the database. This is what we're giving away free with the Express edition. If you click that, if you click the drop down list, because it's not bound to the database, it's not retrieving any data from the database, but validation still works. So validation still works, but it won't do anything because it's not bound to the database. Okay, and that'll be it. Remember that the views are clickable, controllers are not. It's just showing you that these are the objects that were generated. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and go to Visual Studio, and you'll notice there's two projects here at our web application. You stop that. You have controllers, you have a base controller and the parent controller. In the base controller, pretty much all the code for the controller are there. I'm just gonna go through really fast there. It's about 1,900 lines of code there for one controller. So easily, in one click, we would have generated millions of code in less than a few minutes there. And then you have the parent class. This has nothing in it. Now what we normally do is add your code here. You could add whatever code here, and every single time you regenerate, we will not overwrite the parent class. So any parent class we don't overwrite. So you can add your code here. You also have the views here. You'll see the let's look at one of the views, the list redirect. It's really clean. It's using JQ grid. It's telling it to go to this method. When you delete, go to this method when you grab data from the database, and it's super clean. The manual for each, you'll see that the manual for each is not that clean, because we had to manually do the for each loop and our own logic right here. It's clean enough, but not as clean. You also have code examples. So let's say we want to do a select all, and you just definitely don't want to use the things that we generated. You create your own list. This is how you grab everything from the database. This is how you will sort it, and this is how you reverse sort it. This is how you would go through a for each loop. This is the related supplier. So you want to get the supplier. This is the related categories. And it's really simple. It's telling you how to get things by primary key. It shows you how to get a list by supplier ID, and a lot more things right here. Shows you how to insert a product onto the database. update, delete, count the records on the database, all the records, count the records by supplier ID, and so on. And you also have the class library, where it will have the business object classes, the data layer classes, um, helper classes here. These are enums, and of course your EF classes, entity framework classes, your models and view models. So you look at the model for the products, you'll see that each product here, each product field has data annotations here. And of course you could add your own model or data annotation or field right here on the model. So each one of these have parent and child classes, a base class and a parent class. We did it this way so that it's shareable, can be used by other projects if you want. And I think that's about it. Well, thank you for listening. We're gonna look at some more things in the next session, next tutorial. Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.